And here's a pair of Baby Advent 2 speakers that I'm going to work on for a friend of mine. He has had these sitting in his house, stored for quite a while, and he wants to use them in his garage. And I believe these are from the early 90s. So I said, well, check the surrounds and see what they look like. He did and found they're starting to crack. So, you know, if you press on the surround, you can see it feels a little different. It's starting to go bad. So the surrounds need to be replaced. So I will go ahead and do that for him, and I'll do, of course, this type that just replaces the surround. I don't want to replace this dust cap because that's a specialized type. It's kind of a see-through dust cap. I think it is well vented to let air pass through, so I don't want to change that. The little name tags have peeled off, so I will clean up stick them behind here and re-glue those down. And they're serialized, one's 49 and one's 50, so I put a little marker here so I don't get the tags mixed up. So I believe these are from 91 or 92, so they're roughly 25 years old. So that appears to be how long this foam lasts, is maybe 25 years. You can see it's starting to really come apart. So I'll go ahead and take these apart and look at the date codes on the back of the drivers and see how old they are. But definitely time to refoam them. Yeah, I went ahead and pulled the main driver, woofer, out of one of these Baby Advent 2s, along with the stuffing, which is a pretty substantial amount of stuffing. Pretty much filled the box. And so the codes on these speakers: 220, which is Jensen. Looks like it was made in the 19th week of 1989. Which kind of jives with what's stamped inside the case here, May 16th, 1989. So these little Baby Advent 2s are from 1989. So they're over 25 years old, 2016 to the date. So what is that, 27 years? So apparently 27 years is about the limit of foam surround, or maybe a little bit less, because these are really starting to peel. So time for new foam. And normally when I do restore a set of speakers, I don't really show this process of refoaming. But since I'm doing this for a friend of mine, I thought I'd go ahead and record some of it to kind of show him, what needs to be done. And I've already taken care of this first speaker, taking it out of that one there. You can see how the foam has been, well, first of all I took the gasket off, and then cleaned up the back side of that so it's ready to glue back on. Then I cleaned all the foam off of the basket and off of the cone. And so this one's ready for the new foam kit. So on this one, I'll show what that process is. First thing you have to do is remove these 4 screws that hold the speaker in. Okay, I got the screws out. Now you can pull the speaker off. Now these aren't really recessed like some of the more expensive speakers could be. They're just kind of flush mounted. And you turn it over. So you see, same date code pretty much, 1989. You want to take note of how these wires are attached and which one connects to the positive, which is this little marked by the little red pin, or little red marker there. And now this has a little bit, there's a little cut right there. I'm going to have to fix that. But it has a blue stripe here going to the positive, and it's just a plain black wire going to the negative. And I took a picture with the camera on the other one to make sure that I remembered. So we can go ahead and just disconnect these so we can work on that speaker. And here's a nice thing that Advent does too, is they pretty much completely fill up the speaker cabinet with stuffing. Which a lot of other speaker makers don't do that, but that helps dampen, a lot of the bass notes and harmonics and stuff. So it's a nice little feature. So we can go ahead and put this one out of the way. And it's a good sized magnet on that little 6.5 inch driver. So these things hopefully will sound pretty good. So the first step is to go ahead and remove this. It's got to come off anyway, so just stick your finger in there and start peeling away. Okay. So we got most of that foam off, quick and easy. And then take your razor knife and let me adjust the camera down a little here. Then this is the kind of the hardest part. You need to remove this gasket off of the basket there. So you just kind of stick the knife in there and just kind of work it on around. And try not to slip, or else you could cut yourself or cut the cone. So if it offers some resistance, just kind of maybe take a smaller bite at it. And it's pretty sticky in there. That old glue is really kind of hard to to get through. So sometimes you gotta take a couple of different shots at it here. See, we're getting through it now. You can see the gasket's coming up. Okay. Get all the way around here. Get that broken loose. And that should lift right off. Now these are really kind of mostly just cosmetic. It's not really needed, but you want to try to save this and glue it back on to the speaker just so that it looks like it did when it originally came from the factory. And we'll go ahead and clean up this stuff as we've done with this one. Just peel a layer of paper off. It's kind of what I usually do. Just come under here and just kind of grab it, and so you can peel a layer off, and that'll clean up all the glue. Now this is the real hard part, is getting all this goo off the basket. It's pretty well stuck down there. The only way to really do it is to get here with the knife and just start scraping. Being careful not to slip and cut the cone or cut your fingers. It's best to kind of push the razor knife away from you so that you don't slip and hit yourself. And you can kind of come around and get this from different angles. It comes up pretty easily, really. It's just kind of a messy job, and definitely kind of the worst part of doing this whole process is getting this stuff cleaned off. Yeah, it's okay if you scrape a little of the paint off, it's not going to hurt anything. That's kind of inevitable that happens as you scrape along here to get this stuff off. You're going to take up some paint. It's mostly you want to get all the old foam. Now if you leave a little bit of the glue, that's okay, because the new glue that you put down will kind of melt that and, you know, stick the new foam down. But definitely want to get all the old foam, because the new foam won't stick to the old foam. That's got most of it. I'll clean that up a little bit more. Tap all that old stuff out of the cone. Now you're left with a little bit here on the cone itself. So the way you get rid of that is to take a knife here, and I'll get a new, I'll snap off one of these to get a nice sharp edge. Oops, do that right. This needs to be replaced. It's almost down to nothing. And then what you want to do is kind of gently get in here and peel some of that away. It kind of doesn't want to come up easily. So the best thing to do is to get a little rubbing alcohol here. And paper towel. And just kind of dampen that just a little bit with the rubbing alcohol. You can see it kind of turns black as you get it damp. And that kind of loosens up that the glue, allows you to come back and kind of just scrape that stuff off. This stuff is being a little stickier than normally is. You can see how it's coming off on the razor knife. So you gently go around, scraping a little bit at a time until you get the majority of it off. So that's the process. I'll go ahead and finish this up, and it should wind up looking like that one when I'm done. So there we go. We've got two 6.5 inch woofers off these baby Advents, all cleaned up. Got the foam surround and all the excess glue removed from the speaker basket and the speaker cone. It's just kind of sitting in there, and then cleaned up the back of the gasket so we can glue that back on too when we get the parts. And here's the one I just finished. Same thing, cleaned up on the back. You can see the dark line from where I used the alcohol is still there, but that'll dry off and it'll turn a little lighter color. And then the new foam is going to cover up that line anyway, and then glue right back down here, and then the gasket will go back on and look like brand new. So it's time to order parts. While we're waiting for parts for the refoaming kits of the woofers to come in, should take a few days. I've been doing a little bit of cosmetic work to the little baby Advents here. I reapplied the label, so I used a little bit of this contact adhesive and sprayed on the back of the labels after cleaning up underneath them, cleaning all the old glue, and then reapplied the labels, so they're laying nice and flat. And both of them back on. And also I use what I usually do is use a little bit of this stuff here, which is Howard's Feed and Wax. Of course I put that on the pecan, the real wood up here, to kind of treat that and make it look nice and shiny and look good again, top and bottom. But I also put it on the vinyl, and I've been doing that for a while on all the speakers that I work on, because it kind of makes it have a nice look to it, kind of a rich luster. Turns it, if it's dark, it turns it nice and dark again. So that's kind of a little tip if you're working on your speakers. You want to make them look nice and new. That That's something you can do to kind of you know, make the face and tops and bottoms and sides look like they just came out of the showroom. Howard's Feed and Wax. And for the speaker grills, you know, they're real dusty but otherwise in good shape. So, you know, just spray those down with water, clean all the dust off of them, and then let them dry out. The water doesn't hurt them. So that's done. The speaker boxes are all treated and ready to go. I'm just waiting on parts on the woofers. Parts have arrived to continue the restoration of these baby Advents. I ordered the refoaming kit from the people at Simply Speakers, and kit comes with the two surrounds, you know, which just go right up here on the speaker, and then a special kind of fast setting glue that makes it pretty easy to redo these guys. Now these do not come with shims or replaceable dust cap, and that's how I used to refoam speakers years ago, but I discovered this new method from Simply Speakers about a year or so ago. Done about 4 or 5 sets, and it works really well, and it's very easy. The big advantage is that you don't have to cut out this dust cap and shim the voice coil, which is something I really don't want to do on these Advents, because you can see it has a special kind of a grill or see-through dust cap, which I'm sure you can't get anymore. All the ones I've seen now are solid, where you can't see through them. And I think that actually probably lets air flow through there to help cool the voice coil. So I definitely don't want to change that around any. So, and this method works because you know, really there's two pieces of the suspension on a speaker. There's the outer suspension, which is the foam surround, and the other piece is this spider back here, which connects way down by the voice coil. Now since you don't replace that, you know, that's really what centers the voice coil. And the only thing you have to worry about is the rocking back and forth of the upper part of the cone. As long as you get that centered, then the voice coil will be properly centered. And there's a little technique that Simply Speakers shows on their YouTube videos or even on their website. It's really very easy to do. It works pretty well. So that's what we're going to do on these guys. And the whole process with this faster setting glue, you know, you could do a couple speakers in, you know, an hour, hour and a half. So it goes faster and seems to work better. So we'll go ahead and start doing that. Alright, now the first step to refoaming speakers is to take the foam surround and place it on the speaker upside down. What we're going to do is going to take the glue and use the speaker to just kind of hold the foam surround, and we're going to apply glue here to this beveled edge, and then we'll just flip it over and apply it to the cone, lift the cone up and squeeze it down. So, and it doesn't take a whole lot of this glue. You just kind of get it started here to see how it's going to come out. And just put a little bead, just enough to kind of cover that. And just spin it around. About 1/8 of an inch bead. I'm not that good at this compared to the guys on the Simply Speakers website, but I mean, they do it every day and I do it a couple times a year. Okay, so when you get a bead about like that around there, just take your finger and kind of spread it out a little bit. Make sure it's coated well all the way around that surface. There we go. Okay, so now Take this thing, just flip it over, just kind of try to drop it in the center there. And you've got time to move it around. You know, this stuff doesn't, it's not like contact cement or something where it sticks immediately. You know, you get time to kind of get it seated and move it around as you need to. Just kind of want to get it centered there. And you can lift up on the cone from underneath here, stick your fingers up in those slots, lift it up, and then, you know, just kind of push down. It takes a couple minutes really for that glue to start setting up. I got a little bit too far this way, so I'll just kind of scooch it back. And you can always use this, you know, gasket to get back on there and see if maybe you're too far, too close, which I am a little bit, so I'll just scooch it back. There we go, that's pretty well centered. That's pretty much done. You know, it's still a little wet. You know, I can still move it around, but it's fairly centered, and I'll just keep pushing down on this for the next couple minutes to make sure that it's not going to lift up. But that's about the right spot. So I'll go ahead and pause the camera until the next step. Alright, now the foam is glue on the foam has cured to the cone. So now we're ready to go ahead and put some glue on the outer part of the surround underneath here and glue the foam to the metal basket. So the way to do that is take the glue and you kind of lift this up a little bit. Then just run about a 1/8 inch bead all the way around right on the edge of the metal right there of the basket. Just kind of run an even bead all the way around. Don't need to use a lot, just kind of 1/8 inch bead, I think they say. Alright, so I've gone all the way around one time, and they give you a ton of glue. I mean, this would probably do, you know, 5 or 6 sets of speakers this size, so you got a lot of extra. So you let that cure up just a little bit, and what you could do too is just kind of push it down a little bit to get that glue squeezed out. But you can see, I don't know if you can see, but the glue makes this foam kind of curl up. I don't know if you can see that on the video. I guess you can. See how it's kind of curling up there? Don't worry about that. If that happens, that's normal. Just the you know, reactive components in the glue kind of make it do that. Eventually, that will start sticking down. Then you got time. You can just let that cure for a minute or two. But keep going back every once in a while and checking to see if it'll stick down a little bit more. And this is point 2 where you can start pushing on the cone and see if it's centered. You want to push down and see if it makes any noise. Push on all 4 sides here. And you can see it pretty much self-centers itself. You know, I'm not hearing any scraping right now. So, you know, I think the spider does most of the centering, and this, as long as you get it fairly close, you know, it's not gonna scrape. So this is still curling up. You see, as you start pushing down, it starts sticking down. So I just wait, give it a minute or two to start curing. I already finished up this one over here. No, I can't see it. But I've gone ahead and re-glued the inside and gone ahead and put the gasket back on. And I'll show that process on this one, but that one's pretty much ready to go. And I've just got this scuba weight kind of holding it down to keep everything together until the glue sets. Let's see here. See if this is going to stick down better. See, every time you run your hand around that, it kind of sticks the foam down a little bit better. Eventually that glue sets up. You want to keep checking too to make sure you're still centered. Here we are. This only takes 5 minutes or something like that before the foam is stuck down as good as it's going to be. Works pretty quick. It's not so fast that you don't have any working time to move things around if you need to, but fast enough that makes the job go real quick. Which at this point, at least for me, I'm really interested in hearing what the speakers are going to sound like, so the faster the job goes, the better for me. See, now the foam is pretty much stuck down. It's not lifting up and curling up like it was before. So we'll go ahead and keep checking on that for the next minute or two, and then you'll be ready to apply the gasket. Every once in a while I'll check with the gasket to make sure it's kind of centered. It's looking good. Alright, you can see it's pretty much ready to go. It'll take another couple minutes for that glue to cure up for sure, and then maybe an hour to fully cure, hour and a half. I think they recommend overnight, but I've played these things after a couple hours, and it's with no problems. So what I'll do now is sometimes, when you strip some of this off the back here, it kind of makes this set lower, and sometimes it doesn't completely set in there. It makes the surround bulge a little bit. So what I do is take a Dremel tool and just kind of clean this inside edge up a little bit, get the excess glue off, make that a little wider so that when you put it on, it doesn't squeeze the surround in. So that's the next step to do. Since this is pretty much done, that's looking real good. So we'll go ahead and clean up this gasket and then glue it on. Alright, I've taken the Dremel tool with the little barrel sander and run that around the inside here of the gasket to create enough room so that when I put it on, it doesn't squeeze the foam surround in any. I also took a little marker here and just mark the holes where they are, because the foam kind of covers up the holes in some cases, so you want to know where those are so that you can line the holes of the gasket down with the holes in the basket. So now we're ready to go ahead and attach the gasket. So we use the same glue that we used before for everything else. Just run another 1/8 inch bead all the way around, kind of right on top of the foam. There we go. Now I take our gasket, kind of line it up with our marks. Just kind of seat it in there. And we'll turn it upside down. Put a weight on it. Give it about 10 minutes to cure, and then it'll be ready to mount back in the cabinet. Alright, I got one of the speakers completely done and back in the cabinet. It's about ready to go. The other one's here. Should be completely dry. So you got a foam surround put in and the gasket glued back on. Now you can see that the foam kind of covers up the screw holes, but you don't need to poke anything in there to open those up, a knife or anything. We'll just take the original screws, that screw the thing down, and we'll stick those in there, and that'll make a hole big enough to, it'll go right through. So that's the next step, is to go ahead and screw that one into that cabinet, and then we'll be all done. You can finally hear what they sound like. Alright, we got the little baby Advents over there playing away. They sound pretty good. I'll go ahead and do a comparison between the Advent Legacies and the babies. That's the babies playing there. And that's the Advent Legacies, which is a 10-inch speaker, much larger cabinet. Now I'll switch the 6.5-inch baby Advents. That's the babies playing. Yeah, you can see the roll off in the bass, and they sound a little different, but they sound really good. I think they'll work real well in a small garage environment. So that's it. They're just about ready to go. So this will be the end of the video, and hopefully my buddy listens to these in his garage for many years to come.